Alright, it's week 4 of Wuthering Waves and everyone should be close to 40. If not, you might want to consider using some crystal solvents to help get you there. But one thing that you want to make sure that you do every day is do your daily quest and get 100 activity points in your activity book. This is one of the fastest ways to get a lot of experience in the game. Which brings us to the Databank. So for those that reach level 40, they should be at a Databank level 20. And when the week resets, so does our enhanced drop rate. To where if you're at level 20, you have 100% for an echo to drop off a boss. And the possibility of that echo being a 5-star is an 80% chance. To where if you're not 40, most likely you're at Databank 18, to where you have a 90% chance for the bosses to drop echoes. And you only have a 50-50 shot of it being a gold echo, which was a small mistake that I made last week, so I wanted to make sure to clarify it this week. But when it comes to what echoes to go for, I recommend that you go for your main DPSs. So take for example Jian. I would want to make sure that I get a good boss echo for him, which would be the monkey boss. Due to the fact that this Nada effect greatly increases arrow damage. On top of that, the monkey boss echo increases arrow damage even further. I just so happen to already have a pretty decent one, but I could always get better. When it comes to your sub DPSs, generally most of the time you want to go with the moonlit set, since this set can increase the attack of your main DPS. And the boss echo that you want is Heron because that also increases the damage of your main DPS. And for your healers, it's best to go ahead and use the rejuvenating glow set. The reason being is that when you heal, it increases the attack of the entire team. On top of that, the best boss echo for this set is the turtle boss. The reason being is that it reduces incoming damage for the entire team, which is one of the strongest echoes in the game. But if you're going for healing bonus, for someone like Verena or Baizi, this is actually pretty difficult to get, to where you might want to consider using your 15 chances on the turtle boss. But there are exceptions to these standard roles. Take her for example, to where she's not necessarily a healer, but she can take advantage of this set because as long as she heals, this set will activate. So if you happen to have this weapon on your account and you equip this to her, she will get a heal, proccing that effect. And you notice the secondary stat is crit damage, so you actually could build her as a sub DPS, making it to where if you get a crit rate Bellborn, it's not the end of the world. Which brings us to our newest character, Yinlin, to where she is a sub DPS, so you could use the Moonlit set on her, but since she does so much damage, you might want to consider using the Void Thunder set, since that's going to greatly increase her damage, which ends up increasing the damage of the entire team. And for the main echo, you might want to consider using the Flawless because it's going to help get her Concerto energy much faster, allowing her to proc her outro skill much easier, which is going to increase your main DPS's damage, especially if they're an Electro character. So now let's go ahead and talk about events. So today we just got a new event, Wuthering Exploration, where we're going to be able to get a lot of items that is going to increase our echo experience. But one thing that I recommend that you do is Yinlin story quest before it goes away, because if you have not done Jian story quest, it is now unavailable. And that is the same for the trial characters, where you can test them out, and you want to make sure that you test out each character, due to the fact that you can get some extra rewards. But at the very least, you want to make sure that you test out Yinlin, so that way you can get some free asterite. Then we have the alloy smelt event, to where yesterday they just unlocked the last levels, so you want to make sure that you go ahead and do those so that way you can get those rewards, which are quite big for your account. We also have another event coming soon, Second Coming of Solaris, to where you can get some more rewards, so be sure to check that out tomorrow. Also, if you have not had the chance, make sure that you get the Overdash Club because this goes away in a little over 3 days. Then hopefully as you've been leveling up in your account, you've been taking a look at this awakening journey, to where if you reach 45, you get a free 5-star weapon. I decided to go ahead and get the sword so that way I can give my main character a better weapon. But other good choices is a gun, which would be great for more Teffi because not only does it give crit rate, but it also increases the energy regen, and it further buffs your main DPS. But you also could consider getting the broadblade for Calcharo if you have no other options. But I'm personally fine with the battle pass weapon. And lastly, we have the Illusive Realm, to where this will reset in 13 days, so you do eventually want to try and clear it. Because with the currency, you're able to buy some really good rewards, like Echo Experience, Asterite, even Echoes, which can help if you're having trouble getting your Databank up. And the more that you do this mode, the easier it's going to be to level up your Thought Evolution, which is going to make it easier as you continue in the higher levels. You also want to take a look at your anomaly investigation, so that way you can get some extra asterite for doing certain challenges. And when it comes to these levels, they should be fairly simple to do, because you can use the trial characters to help get you through them. But for level 70, you can't use trial characters, and you have to use characters on your account. But if you don't have powerful characters on your account, you can clear this using Baizi, to where if you want a more detailed breakdown on how you're able to do that, be sure to check out Tenten's video. But here's the quick summary. For your Echo, you want Infernal Rider. For your first companion, you want Verena. For your starting buff, you want to get Dual Efficiency. The first level is going to be pretty slow because you're not going to be that powerful because you're looking for a main buff. And the buff you're looking for is Scorching Sun in the Forest, to where you can do a meteor effect once you hit the target a certain number of times. This one is so important that you want to reroll until you get it. Also make sure that you explore every level to look for these rocks to where you can get some extra currency or another chance to get a buff. At this point, you're mainly looking for red and blue buffs, so that way you can max out your Echo. For the red buffs, you're mainly looking for ones that increase your basic attack damage or increases your attack speed. For blue buffs, you're mainly looking for the ones with shield ability, so that way you can make sure you stay healthy when you get to the final boss. You can also get this healing effects once you have enough shield buffs to protect yourself. And another buff to look out for is this Dusty Book, to where you can cast your ultimate 2 times in a row. For your second skill, I recommend that you go with Threshold Response, increasing the damage of your out. But the main one that you want to make sure you avoid is Variable Substitution, because that's going to cause you to lose health. For your secondary companion, I recommend Mortifee, and don't be afraid to refresh it to try to find them. And for the last skill, you can just go with Aggressive Strategy, increasing your damage. Following all this, you should be able to make it to the last chamber, buy the last few buffs you need to go ahead and max out your Echo and make you a bit stronger. All of this will allow you to be very powerful to where you're not taking any damage at all and easily able to kill the last boss. After that, you want to start focusing on your challenges, starting with tactical holograms, which are scattered throughout the map. As your account gets stronger, you might want to start challenging higher difficult, so that way you can get the special currency data sets. To where if you go to the store and you go to the point shop and then you hit simulation training, you're going to be able to use those data sets to get some pretty good rewards. One being tuners. And for the collectors, you can get shiny Vault Echoes. But you might see that you need 2,500 data sets to get it, which is misleading. If you click on it, you only need 300, but you have to obtain 2,500 data sets before you can purchase this. Whereas this one, you're going to need 3,500 data sets. Which brings us to Tower of Adversity, to where this just recently reset and you have a little less than 11 days to go ahead and complete this. Now, the first 2 zones don't ever reset. Once you complete them once, they're done forever. But if you go into the Hazard Zone, this is the one that resets. But do note that if you take a look at Tower of Hazard, these enemies are level 100. So it's going to be really difficult to beat this at this time unless you're putting a lot of money in the game. So since we can avoid the middle tower, we really only need to focus on 2 teams at tops. And you can manipulate the energy system to where you can use stronger characters on harder floors. So take for example this tower. You'll notice that I cleared this tower using Coucharo, Yinlin, and Jinsen. But for the final floor, since it's one of the most difficult, I wanted to use Verena as my healer for that one. So now I can't use Coucharo or Yinlin on any other floors, but Verena still has 6 energy because this floor costs 4. So I can go to the other tower and I can use Verena on this floor, which costs 4 energy, and I can use her on this floor, which costs 2 energy, which will add up to 6. And then since Jinsen has 4 energy, I can use her on this floor and this floor. This way, I really only need to invest in 1 healer instead of 2. But you can also do this same trick with main DPSs or supports, whichever way is going to make you have the strongest team possible for every floor. On that note, let me go ahead and talk about Yinlin and how I feel about her. I believe she's a very strong sub DPS to where she's really going to push the power of your current teams, especially if you have Coucharo on your account. But she's very versatile to where she can work with other main DPSs like Encore or Rover. So I wouldn't say that she's a must pull, but you definitely will see the power increase on your account, and when another main DPS lightning character comes out, she's really going to shine. So now let's talk about your Waveplates. Of course, you can click on this icon and you can see how long it's going to be until you fully recover. So if you're not 40 yet, I recommend that you use most of your Waveplates on forgery challenges because you're going to need them to level up your character skills and weapons. Your second choice would be bosses because at 40, you do have a chance to get 3 boss materials, but you still have a chance to get 2, which you're guaranteed to get if you're under level 40. So if you desperately need those materials, it's not a bad move to go for those. Once you're 40, you might want to go ahead and just knock out your weekly bosses because you do need to get that completed before the week is over. And if you're struggling to get Echo experience, you can consider doing Tacit Fields. But do note that if you decide to do Tacit Fields, each one prioritizes certain Echoes. And one of the hardest sets to get is the Void Thunder set, so I usually go for that Tacit Field when I decide to do that. And one thing that you want to do is check your mail. We just recently got 10 standard rolls, which I used on the standard weapon banner since we're able to select whatever weapon we want, which I feel will be better than getting a random copy of a 5-star character. because even powerful characters like Calcharo could get replaced down the road, or even worse, you could get a character that you don't want, whereas the 5-star weapons could be useful for quite a while. And the last tip is check all the areas in your town, so I'm going to quickly go over all of them right now. First, we got the synthesizer, to where if you're having trouble getting weapon experience, remember that you can make some every week. On top of that, you can make waypoint modules if you need to set up waypoints in other areas on the map. And with a new area coming June 28th, you might want to have a few. And I'm sure you already know this is the main place where you go to upgrade your materials. Then you have weapon crafting, to where if you talk to the oat man, you can buy lower tier weapon materials. And at the crafting station, you can make decent 4-star weapons like the Rectifier 25. But you do need rocks throughout your world, so you probably want to make sure that you're attacking those at least as you pass by them. Then we got the grocery store. This is where you can buy ingredients to help with your cooking. And basically right next to it, you can of course cook, to where, as I mentioned last week, if you get this proficiency up, you're able to get some more rewards. Plus, this can help you during tactical hologram challenges. Then we got the pharmacy, to where here you can buy plants using shell credits, but again, I recommend that you use an interactive map to find plants, especially since shell credits are limited. But if you don't have time or you don't feel like exploring, this is an option. Next, we have the souvenir store, to where you want to make sure that you just go ahead and clear this out. You're going to be able to get these shards as you explore the world. But do note that there is no limit on shell credits, so you want to make sure that you clear out the shop before going for these. Then you got the casket delivery, to where if you're exploring the world and getting those caskets, that is where you turn them in. Level 10 is the final level, but you do get some really good rewards, so make sure that you're turning these in. And then we have the Pioneer Association. As you explore the world and you get closer to 100%ing most of the areas, you want to make sure that you visit this place, because you want to ask about your exploration progress. Here is another place to where you can get some really good rewards. And the last place you want to take a look at is Tiger Mall's mine, mainly the Tiger Mall's ore, because even here you can buy some pretty nice rewards using the rocks you collected throughout the world. You can even get a free craftable weapon if you have enough rocks. And finally, make sure that you're staying up to date on your Pioneers podcast. The max level is 70, which I already reached because I ended up buying the extra level pass, because as you see, I basically have 14 days to complete this, which would have been very easy to do if you're someone who's logging in every day doing most of the stuff that I mentioned. But with that, that should be everything that you need to know for this upcoming week. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If so, I would greatly appreciate a like so that way it can spread more on YouTube. But other than that, I'll talk with you guys later.